Today is all about tax, tip, markup, and discounts. So first of all, you have to understand what a tax is. It's an additional amount of money charged on items that people buy. So like when you go to the store and you buy a shirt, you have to pay tax on that, okay? Sometimes we'll talk about taxes when you get taxes like taken out of your paycheck or things like that. But that's not the type of tax we're going to talk about today. It's mostly just sales tax that we'll discuss today. So it says, Drew wants to buy exercise equipment that costs $140 and the sales tax is $5.75. What is the total cost of the equipment? Today we're still going to use part equals percent times whole. You could use the percent equation on this, but again, more real life scenarios, you would probably use the equation. It's just easier to think through in your head or with a calculator if you're at the store to quick figure something out. Okay? And what I would think through on this is if you want your part here to be your total cost at the end, meaning how much it costs for just the regular equipment, then plus the tax, that means our percent has to be all of this plus the tax. All of this would be 100%. If we're paying for the whole thing, that's 100%. Then we also have a tax that's 5.75%. So we're adding that up because we have to pay for the whole thing plus the tax. So that means this would be our percent that we're talking about in this problem. Remember when you go to do your equation, you have to move your decimal point over 2 spots to get rid of the percent sign. So we'd write 1.0575. Now we're looking for our part. That's 105% of the original cost. The original cost is $140. When you type that into your calculator, you get $148.05. On the next one, it'd be the same type of thing. You have 100% of the regular price that you have to pay. And then you also have this 5.5% tax. So I'm going to write it as 5.5. So total we're paying 105.5% of the cost. We're looking for our part. We'd write our percent as 1.055 times the original amount. And that's going to be $44.31. Now, I want you to keep in mind, if they just wanted you to find the tax, what you would do is you would go and do your proportion or your equation, and instead of using all of it and the tax percent, you would just use the tax percent, which is that 5.5%. When you move it over 2 times, it'd be 0.055 times that 42. And that would be $2.31. What you might notice is if you take that tax and add it on to $42, that also gets you $44.31. So you can do it either way. You can find just the tax, add it back on to the original, or you can add at the beginning and say 100% plus this percent gives me my entire total cost altogether. Okay? I'm going to show this way just because it makes it a lot easier when we're doing discounts. And again, this is something that you might actually do in real life because a lot of times you wouldn't even have to really write this out. You can do that part in your head really quickly. We have some more vocab words. Tip, gratuity, those mean the same thing. Those are small amounts of money in return for a service. We like to think of tips a lot when you go to a restaurant. You have to give your waiter or waitress a tip. Then we also are talking about a store sells an item for more than it pays for those items. The amount of increase is called the markup. So what a customer pays, that's the selling price. If you think about it, if you go to Walmart and you buy something for $10, Walmart obviously didn't pay $10 for that item, because if they did, they're not making any money. They might have paid $4 for it, and you're paying $10 so that they're making $6 off of it. Okay, and so however much they raise the price by, that's their markup. So example 2 says a customer wants to tip 15% on a restaurant bill that is $35. What would the total tip be? So once again, just like before when it was tax, you're going to take your 100% plus that tip, and I'm going to pay a total of 115%. So x is equal to 1.15 is how you'd have to write that, times the 35. And it would be $40.25 with the tip. Okay? On a question like this, it says a haircut costs $20 with a 4.75% tax. Is $25 sufficient to cover a haircut with a tax and a 15% tip? Now, the thing with talking about tax and tip, when you think about the tax, you pay tax on the original amount. You also pay your tip on the original amount. You won't tip based off of the cost with the tax. You don't do a tip on the tax. Okay, so since we're taking those percents, all of the original amount, we can add all the percents together. 100% plus my 4.75% plus my 15% and get 119.75%, because we're taking that percent, all of that $20. So what we would do is we would move our decimal over 2 times and do x is equal to, write out our percent times, and again, we're finding it of $20. And when I do that, oh, I had an extra 1 in there. It's $23.95. Now we have to remember what the question asked. The question said, is $25 sufficient? So meaning, if I walked in with $25 in my pocket, do I have enough money? And we would say, yes, because $25 is greater than the $23.95 for the cost. I have more money than what it costs. So yes, it is sufficient. It's good enough. Okay? Go ahead, if you want to try got it B and C on your own, pause the video. I'm going to take a second then and I will talk through how to do the problem. Alright, so if you tried that one on your own, this is what the work should look like. We would say that Scott wants to tip his taxi cab driver 20%. His commute costs $15. What's the total cost? So I have to pay 100% of that $15, and then I'm paying 20% of it for my tip. So I'm paying 120%. That would be 1.2 times the 15, the original cost, and that would be $18. Here, I have my total cost is what I'm looking for. It's $42 with a 6% tax and a 20% tip. So I added up all of my percents because I'm taking all of those percents of the $42. So I have my 1.26 was the 126% of 42, and I would get $52.92. Okay? The same is going to go for when we're talking markup. It's going to be the exact same thing because we're raising the price again. So it says a store pays $56 for a GPS navigation system. The markup is 25%. Find the selling price. So again, we're paying 100% of what the store paid for it, that $56, plus we have to pay an extra 25% of that. So we're paying a total, as the customer, 125% of what they paid for it at the store. So 125% would be 1.26 of that $56. So their selling price, what I would pay for it as the customer, would be $70. Again, if you want to try the next Got It problem, go ahead, you can pause the video and then I will go over it. Alright, so if you tried that one on your own, what you would do is, it says a store pays $150 for a portable basketball backboard and the markup is 40%. So 100% of that 150, we have to pay all of it, plus we have to pay an extra 40% of it. So we're going to total pay 140% of this price. So my 1.4 times 150 means I will pay, as the customer, $210. Now, we have a couple questions that it's not in your paper notes that I gave today, but it is with markup and tax. So before we said we can put tax and tip together, because remember we said we're paying 6% of 42 and 20% of 42. But markup and tax is a little bit different. So for example, it says Walmart bought an item for a wholesale price of $4. The markup is 80%. If the customer has to pay 6% tax, what is the total cost? Well, on this one, we have to find 80% of $4, but we are not finding 6% of $4. We're not taxing what Walmart paid, we're taxing what we pay with the markup, and we don't know that number yet. So you kind of have to break this up into two problems. The first thing you have to do is your markup. So I have to pay for the whole thing, 100%, plus the 80% markup, which is 180% or 1.8. So 1.8 of the $4 Walmart paid means they're going to sell it for $7.20. Now that we know what we're going to buy it for, we can find our 6% tax on that selling price. So we're going to pay all of this selling price plus a 6% tax. That would be 106%. So 106% of $7.20, the selling price would be $7.63 total cost. So you have to break it up. You would always do the markup first and the tax second. Usually tax always comes last if we have to break it up. Tax is always last usually. Okay. Here's another example you can kind of think through. If you want to look through it, go ahead and pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving. Okay, the next part of the video is talking about discounts. Discounts or markdowns is the amount by which a regular price of an item is reduced. Okay, so this would be like our sale prices that we're talking about. And the difference here is instead of with tax, markup, tip, we were adding, now we're going to subtract. So it says a DVD normally costs $22. This week it's on sale for 25% off the original. So that means I'm going to take my 100% minus 25%. So normally I have to pay for the whole thing, but this week I get to take this much off. So I'm really only going to pay for 75%, which is 0.75. So when I go to do my part equals percent times whole, we know the original was $22. but we only have to pay for 75% of that. So 75% of 22 is $16.50. So it's the same thing as before, except now we're subtracting. Go ahead and try your got it problem. Pause the video if you're going to try it. So if you tried your got it problem, what you would end up having here is you would take 100% minus your 15% off. That means you're paying for 85% of this shirt. And I actually have the wrong amount here, so we can think that through together in 1 second. I will fix my work for you. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's what you should have. So if you did your 85% of $42, it would be $35.70. Okay? The next question says, a boogie board that has a regular price of $69 is on sale at a 35% discount. What is the sale price with a 7% tax? Again, we can put tax and tip together, but we couldn't put markup and tax together. Here we can't put discount and tax together either, because you aren't going to pay tax on the original amount, you're going to pay tax on the sale price. So you have to find the discount first. Okay, so here's this example. For the discount, what I did is I said 100% minus 35% means I'm paying 65%. So 65% of the original would be $44.85. Then I would find the tax on my sale price. So tax is an additional cost, so I would add it on. So I'm paying 107% of the sale price, which would get me $47.99. Okay? If you want to try the got it problem, go ahead and do so. It says a CD that has a regular price of $15.50 is on sale at a 25% discount. What is the sale price with a 6.5% tax? Okay? Pause the video if you want to try that. If you didn't, or if you did try it, this is what you would have. You would find that your discount, you subtract the 25%, meaning we only pay 75% of this regular price, which comes out to be, and we're going to round that, so it would be $11.63. Here again, $11.63 is our sale price times the tax added on, so our 1.065, and that would actually round up one more penny since we didn't have our rounded amount before, and that would be $12.30, and this would be 9 cents because of the 5 behind it. It would round up. Okay, so since we're talking about money, you always have to have it as in the money form today, which is 2 decimal places. Okay. The next part is a cell phone is on sale for 30% off. If the sale price is $239.89, what is the original cost? So this is going to work the same way as our discounts before. We take our 30% off and find that we're paying 70%. The difference is this time they want to know what the whole is. We don't know. But what we do know is the discounted price or the sale price, which is normally our part. So once you have it written that way, you can take your part and divide it by that 0.7, and you would end up with the original price of $342.70. Again, if you want to try the next one, go ahead, pause the video and do so. If you tried it, this is the work that you will have. Okay, so it was 100% minus that 45% off, means we're only paying 55%. We don't know the original price. What we know is the sale price. So we solve by dividing by 0.55 on both sides, and it would end up being $90.87 when you round for being money. The last type of problem is nothing new. It's putting two problems into one. It says Clothes R Us and Ratcliffe's are having sales. At Clothes R Us, a pair of sneakers is on sale for 40% off of $50. So I'm really paying 60% of that $50, which is $30 is my sale price. At Ratcliffe's, I'm getting 30% off of a regular price of $40. So I'm really paying 70% of $40, and that would be $28. So then it says, which store has the better sale price? Well, when I find Clothes R Us and I find Ratcliffe's, I can compare the two, and Ratcliffe's has the better price. You have an example like this. If you would like to try this last example, go ahead and pause the video and try it. If you've tried that video or tried that question, you would find that for Mary, you are paying 75% of $65, which is $48.75. For Roberto, you are paying 70%, since it was 30% off, of an original price of $75, which would be $52.50. That means Mary's was the better buy. I know this was a lot of information and I went through some things quick. Feel free to go back and re-watch part of the video, try some of them on your own, and as always, you can ask me questions if you have any of them or anything's confusing.